Hi, how you doing? My name is Paul Turner. I am what is known as a master NLP practitioner. We like these wizardy titles that we give ourselves, right? I am kind of putting myself out there at the minute, working with clients and stuff. And I've been trying to think, how could I do a video to explain what to expect in like an NLP session or what NLP is and kind of what it does and stuff. And then John, who I've became a client not long ago, very kindly agreed to do an interview with me so I could talk about, his experience of NLP. And then it just occurred to me, this is a perfect opportunity for you to hear direct from the horse's mouth, so to speak, kind of what it's like, whether it's worth it or not. So I promise not to put words in his mouth. So this is John McLaughlin. John, how you doing?
Oh, very well, thank you, Paul. Thank
Well,
you.
there's a good start.
Interview.
So, do you want to tell people a bit about yourself to start with so they know your background? You've done some great stuff, haven't you? So, it's people that are successful go for NLP. It's not just like someone who's like particularly struggling or something at the minute. So, do you want to go ahead and
Yeah, I suppose my story will be very similar to maybe a lot of people. Maybe a lot of people watching this will be able to maybe resonate in that. I started my career. My first real job, I suppose, really was a police officer. I became a police officer. Did that for best part of 10 years and went into business. And what I always found is that I always had real potential, like with my business, with the property side of things. I suppose at the time, everything was going well. And when things go well, things go really well. And to put a kind of example on it, I started property developing and just concentrated on properties and just making the experience better for the buyer. And when I looked at the numbers, I mean, obviously the numbers are really important, but I'd made like £250,000 in 18 months. And I kind of looked back and thought, okay, I'm probably doing all right at this. Circumstances kind of change. We went through a lot of bereavement at the time, and what I found was I ended up with this self-destructive kind of mechanism, which I realized had always been there, but it had just manifested itself more, from the circumstances that I've been in. And then the property started sort of 2008. The property sort of shifted because of the global recession and all the manipulation that had been going on.
that fun? Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought, okay, I want to get into marketing. So let's see what we can do. 2007, I think it was. Um, in fact, I'd been into marketing before, but I thought I'd give it a go. So I sold a house. I took a year off. I ended up doing a degree. I ended up doing loads of stuff, and then always getting to a point where the business was starting to go into momentum, doing really well, and something would happen. And then the next business would start, and I'd go, "This is really good. It's going to go into momentum. It's doing really well," and something would happen. And it's like, "Oh, you know what? All this rubbish happens to me. It's always me. It's always something happens." And you look back and you go, "Hang on a minute. What's the one area of commonality?
Who's
It's
always there?
me. Yeah, it's always this guy." And yeah, I kind of did the same thing happened in business, got so far, got so kind of successful, and then it all backed up. And the same pattern was happening with business, with relationships, with finance, with everything.
Mm.
And you know, I obviously I know you, so I reached out. In fact, what I did first, probably going back 3 years, I thought, okay, I'm identifying the fact there's a problem.
Mhm.
So I'm going to reach out to a psychotherapist and I'm going to have a chat with a psychotherapist to see if I can sort this out because it was affecting my relationship at the time, which I kind of wanted to kind of salvage. Um, so I went to see the psychotherapist and it went on and it went on and it went on. And I just thought, what am I doing here? What am I really getting out of this psychotherapy? It's kind of, it almost feels like the wound is still there, but he's put a nice little bandage around it, but it's
Right.
still festering. You know what I mean? Um, and then obviously I knew you'd done NLP. I knew you, so I kind of been on some of your sessions previously, and I'd been in group sessions where I'd seen people have transformations, and men been in tears, and me being the guy I am at the time, I suppose, a bit hard, maybe a little bit, what's the word? Just a bit hard and a bit, seen everything in life or whatever you think you have. I'm going, okay, the guy's in tears. Excellent, well done. Okay. Yeah, we've got another hour and we can see what, so quite skeptical was the word about, number one, psychotherapy was great, as long as you give them 40 quid a time to your therapist. Is NLP the kind of the same thing? And then circumstances got to a point where I went, Paul, let me just sort this out once and for all, for Christ's sake. It doesn't matter what I do, I just seem to destroy it.
So where did you first hear about NLP then? How many years ago was that? As in neuro-linguistic programming, if you don't know that, guys.
I first started looking into NLP probably when I was teaching more karate, and I looked into all kinds of things, to all kinds of personal development avenues to try and bring people on, and NLP was one of those. And I did what most people do, where you buy the NLP for Dummies book.
Yeah.
And you read that. Yeah. I've since got a few more books and whatever.
Think you understand it, think you know it. Don't need
to. Yeah, and you go, this is nice. That's very nice. Well done. I'll just put that on the shelf and I'll read it when I need it.
That makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that's good. That put the book back on the shelf. Yeah,
absolutely. So I kind of knew about it, but didn't really respect it, didn't really appreciate it, like probably most people who haven't gone through the process. So thought it's something that sounds quite nice. And
so there's something that made you go to a psychotherapist, sorry. There's something that made you go to a psychotherapist before you investigated NLP. So what is that then? Why? Because a lot of people don't think they need the mindset stuff. And when you thought, well, okay, I want to sort out some stuff, I'm just curious to know, and you can talk negatively about NLP if you want, whatever. That's not what this is about, but I'm just curious. Why would you go to psychotherapy then over NLP?
It's really education, because when you say to yourself, linguistically, I suppose, I need therapy, therefore I need a therapist.
Right.
And you go online and you go, I need a therapist. The first thing that comes up is psychotherapist. So when you're green, you don't know any different.
No,
you just
absolutely.
Go, I need therapy,
So did you know what to expect from an NLP session then before we had that first call? First call, by the way, complimentary, guys. So if you're watching this and you're thinking, do you know what, I could probably do some of this. I don't help people unless I know I can help them. So first call has to be free to make sure you're comfortable with me, and I can help you. And it's not all like therapy. I don't like the word therapy, because NLP practitioners aren't really therapists, as it were. They just help you change. Well, we'll talk about that at the end. I don't want to put words in John's mouth. So did you know what to expect, John?
Not really, no. I know a lot of people have had, some good results with NLP, and obviously you were there, and we worked together quite closely. And it was like a case of, okay, let me just reach out to Paul and see what I can do. In fact, the circumstances with this, I wanted to get some therapy. So I organized a session with a therapist. I kind of, it's like you go online, you pick someone whose face you like and whose write-up looks okay. I booked an appointment with her and she cancelled because of the family situation.
I'm second best.
Well, actually,
bridesmaid.
it was one of those situations really where, again, it didn't really occur to me that NLP was what I needed. I thought I needed therapy,
Yeah.
And so the circumstances were such where she cancelled, I reached out to you, and then we had our first session.
So it's probably a good time for me to explain what I was going to explain. So I'll tell my classic story about if you fell into a river and you can't swim, right? So if you fall into a river and you can't swim, what do you want? Right? You want to get out the water. But a more traditional approach with therapy is usually, when did you first feel you were going to fall into the river? Why do you think you couldn't grasp that branch? Now that you're in the river, how does that make you feel? Let's talk about what happened when you fell in again and again and again and again until you get over it, right? And I know it's not a true life example, but an NLP approach is, let's get you out the river. And then if you're still worried about all that stuff, we can sort it out after. And how that translates into useful stuff in our lives is, if you actually think about it, everything that we want comes down to thoughts and feelings. So your thoughts lead to your feelings, and your feelings lead to your actions, because your feelings make you do stuff. So if you have a trauma, something really upset you in the past. I mean, in NLP, we treat phobias really fast. It's called the fast phobia cure. There's on my testimonials page, there's somebody I overcame a phobia in like 15 minutes, because fundamentally we don't care why it happened. We don't care how it happened. All we know is that our brains have a certain way of coding that information. And Sarah won't mind me saying, it's out there. She had a fear of clowns, right? Because when she was young, they went to the circus. A clown came and grabbed her mum to pull her out into the circus, right? To throw a bucket of confetti over her or whatever that you meant to think is water. But as a young girl, you got a clown taking your mother away, just like grabbing her and pulling her out. So that created that fear of clowns, right? So she understood it, and it's not a problem. You don't generally go through life seeing clowns that often, do you? Unless you're a politician, maybe, I don't know. But you don't often see that many clowns until you got kids yourself, and they come running out of school one day. Mummy, but they gave us free tickets to the circus. Can we go tonight? Can we go tonight? And then when you're breaking out into a sweat on the school playing ground, trying to explain to your kids that, no, you can't take them to the circus, then that's not so good, is it? Okay, so fundamentally, all we needed to do is change the way Sarah's brain thinks about that. And that can be done with NLP. So your experience of NLP then, John, let's compare it then to the therapy. What would you say the main differences are?
One of the things I found with therapy is, as a guy, right? I mean, my first therapy session was with a guy who it was an ex-army guy. I thought that'd be a great sort of person to have, somebody who's, quite authoritative. And as a guy, you've got to be completely honest with yourself, and you've got to be completely honest in the sessions. And I put my hands up and go, I was being as honest as I can, okay, within the guise, or within the boundaries of the fact that my defenses were still up.
Yeah.
Okay, so it takes such a long time. So it's such a long process. So psychotherapy. And I remember sitting there thinking, what the hell am I doing here? What am I actually getting out of this, talking about this? I know what's happened in my life. I don't need to know the how. I need to know, I don't need to know the why, or what's happened. I need to know how to get out of it, And what I found with that was, it was like, this is just so slow. I'm going to be here for years. When people say they've been in therapy for years,
Yeah.
there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
Okay. It's because most of it's ineffective. And I'll say that quite honestly. And the difference I found with NLP was the technique. So it was like, put your hand out. What? Okay. Put your hand out. Okay. Put the other hand out. Okay. And then we went through the whole process. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And then suddenly it was like somebody had waved a magic wand. It was a profound, the number of different profound experiences I've had with NLP, which I didn't expect at all. And I will say that in all honesty, because I know a lot of people who do interviews. Or the other thing I looked at as well was I going through an emotional response? Because I was quite emotionally charged on it, because we were talking about a lot of things, was it a response to my emotions? And I'll say no, it wasn't, because I can remember everything that went on. The shift took effect almost straight away. And the guys that I looked at in your group session who were in tears, guess who was in tears?
Can I just say, right, NLP doesn't necessarily make you cry. So there's two things that came out of this. John talked about being honest. One of the really good things that I love about NLP, I could have cured Sarah's phobia of clowns without knowing it was about clowns. We don't need to know what we call the content. We don't need to know the what. All we know is, well, you got this problem. Tell me if you think about it now, what's happening? Well, let's change how you're thinking about it, and then you'll come out the other end different. And I could have done that with that exercise we did, John. I don't necessarily need to know the content. Now, most clients, obviously, they're happy to tell you, but if you are, watching this thinking, well, I don't want to share this, I don't want to share that, but I'd really like to get it sorted, speak to me, because we can most likely do it without me knowing what it is, if is a concern. And on the crying front, right? So we call it a release of energy, right? That's what we say. So you walk around sometimes for years. You know, I got people walking around for years with a problem, right? And then all of a sudden it's gone in like literally minutes. It might, now we might talk for half an hour, might we, John? Where we might talk for half an hour, and then suddenly I go, that's it. That's the thing I'm looking for. It's like a bit like being a detective or being an archaeologist or something. We dig around for 30 minutes, 40 minutes, and all of a sudden, that's what it is. And then actually the profound bit takes probably 5 minutes. It's just getting to the heart of it, right? So when you've been carrying around this thing for years and years and years, and all of a sudden in 5 minutes it goes. I've had grown men. A common one is yawning. I get a lot of yawns, right? I get some crying. I get shivering, just like not like terribly ill or whatever. Get some people shiver, some people sweat, you know. But it doesn't necessarily. I don't want you to think it's like crying is in a mess, is it, John? It's like a release.
No,
Yeah,
no,
it's
it's
not
not
like
nothing to be worried about. No, it's just
yeah. It's not that sort of crying where it's like, oh my God, you know, it's just like it's gone, release sort of crying. If you cry, I just want to make that clear because I'm a nice guy. I think I try not to make my clients cry. So
the other sort of comparison I would give as well is that when you're doing psychotherapy, they're talking to your conscious mind. They're talking to you, and eventually you'll keep banging on that subconscious brain. So eventually it might at some point start listening and start aligning. And what I found with NLP is it talks to your subconscious straight away without you realizing.
So some of the things we do are ridiculous, aren't they?
Yeah.
But the subconscious understands it that way. Yeah.
It really does. Yeah.
So did it meet your expectations then when we started doing some sessions?
Yes. Oh God, yeah. I mean, I didn't know what to expect. Yeah, I mean it's changed. One thing I said, I did a video afterwards. I did a video a few days later just to say that the whole process wasn't transformational. It was completely profound. You know, what I actually went through and the realization of why I was doing some of the things that I was doing as well, which speaks direct to your subconscious mind, you know. And what I found is that, yes, it does take some time for that to kind of manifest itself, really, to kind of solidify it. So you go over, because we went through quite a lot of therapy, not NLP, I call it therapy, at one time. So there was a lot to process. So I'm constantly processing it, and but the difference is, some people do therapy and they say it's, it's like 10 years of psychotherapy. This is probably, I did probably 8 months last time. And within one session, it was like, that's the whole load of psychotherapy, in one go, in terms of effectiveness.
So in terms of the blocks to your success, things that were blocking you, we don't need to tell people what they are, but things that were blocking you, would you say they're now resolved?
I would. Yeah, I would, because the door has been opened, and what it's a case of doing now is that, a lot of people go through life being unconsciously unaware. They're not even aware of what they're doing. And a lot of the time I was doing that, where I was unconsciously unaware of, okay, let's do this, let's put loads of work in, let's work 16 hours a day, and let's go and self-sabotage the last hour, or the last 10 minutes, We
all do it. NLP practitioners sometimes do it, guys. You just still catch yourself. That's the difference.
Yeah.
And then you can do something about it.
Yeah.
So then in terms of a plan to get into where you want to be, would you say you now have, I mean, I'm absolutely want you to be totally honest, but in terms of the goals that you want, would you say they're more focused and clearer now, and you've got a plan to hit them more than you had before, or the same? And again, be honest. I'm not trying to put words in.
I'll be totally honest with you, is that when you said, what are your goals? And I look back and I went, holy shit, I ain't got any goals. What am I doing? I was kind of working all these hours thinking, okay, that's my goal. That's my goal. What's your actual goal? And I go, I don't know. I don't know where it is. I don't know what I'm aiming for, and everybody who's successful says, if you don't have any goals, what are you doing? You're spinning your wheels.
Can't hit a target you can't see. No. So what the process is when you talking about what to expect is what I try and do with my clients, first of all, is remove the things that are stopping them, right? Everybody has stuff that's happened in the past that might still be affecting them now. Okay. Everybody, right? So we try and deal with the self-sabotage, which most people do. We deal with any sort of obvious blocks that are there, and often we'll uncover, between me and the client, we'll uncover one or two more maybe. So very much the first few sessions are about trying to remove the blocks or baggage, right? And or baggage. Then we kind of go into, okay, understand a bit about yourself. When we look at something called meta programs, don't we? So you understand how your personal brain does things. And we look at particularly like your motivations, your inner motivations and your values. And then we can put, what do you really want together? What do you really want? What would a perfect typical day look like? What minor, smaller goals, not minor, but smaller goals do you need to accomplish to be able to get to your perfect day? You know, somebody might want to learn to fly a helicopter, might they, John?
Absolutely.
And then put a plan together to steal one. I mean, buy one. So, so you get clear on what you want, and then you work out the steps you need to get there. And I have a clever trick to help your subconscious do that in alignment with you. So you work with your brain, and then you got that plan. And now me and John, we're basically tweaking that, aren't we? We're at a point now where I would say a lot of the profound stuff has happened. But we've got a plan for John to get where he wants to be, quite ambitious goals. Like yesterday, we talked about schedules and things like that, and how NLP, we have a certain way of doing things sequenced in bite-sized chunks and things like that. And it's not necessarily the hours that you work.
No.
So, and that came out of that, you know, chat that we had yesterday. So that's kind of what I wanted to kind of put over it. I mean, really, John, we talk, don't we? And I ask you to think of pictures and things. It's not all touchy-feely, is it? It's
No, I found the whole process very logical, very
yeah.
sort of logical step by step. You know, it's almost things like where a psychotherapist will try and get into your emotions and bring your emotions out. You know, and I remember speaking to my psychotherapist years ago, and he was saying, "Oh yeah, I have people running around the garden screaming and yelling." I was like, "Oh, okay, I'm gonna do
Okay.
that."
Well, each to their own.
You know, yeah. But with the NLP, what I found was it's just very technique orientated. So you don't know what you're doing, like the things up, but putting your hands out, put your hand out. Oh, okay, okay, what's going to happen? And then it happens within you.
Yeah.
All you do is give the instructions, and then suddenly it's like, oh my God, that's just happened. What happened there? What happened there, Paul? And that's why I would say anybody who's watching this is get together with you one on one, because that for me was the big where you're in front of me and I go, what's happening now? Why am I experiencing this? What's you know, it's so powerful. And the other thing I'll say as well, you mentioned about the meta programs. You gave me a load of handouts, which I found really, really helpful. And you said, take your time, fill out these handouts, and the you know, all the different things that you put together. Number one, I thought they were really clever in what you did. And number two, it just allowed me to almost plan. It was
Yeah.
a planner that I'd never really done before, you know. And you think all these years of so-called, you know, success and almost getting there, and I'd had plans in place previously, but the self-destructive mechanism just got rid of them. We don't need
Why
them.
didn't you do it earlier? I don't know. You knew
Yeah.
where I was.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So we'll wrap this up because I don't want to take much of John's time, and you're watching this, you're probably busy as well. So there's three things. Biggest and about NLP, right? Not necessarily me. This is about NLP. And I didn't invent NLP, people. So I can be on here and I can speak all day about how fantastic it is because it changed my life, it's changed in John's life, it's changed other clients' life, because I didn't invent it, right? So you hear me big it up all the time. You know, I'm not bigging myself up, I'm bigging NLP up. So in terms of NLP, John, biggest insight that you've had, would you say?
Certain realizations about my personality, and certain realizations that didn't really know one side knew the other, you know. So and also kind of what really is holding you back.
Okay.
And when you can take it from a logical standpoint, it makes a whole difference.
Awesome. I love it. And then the biggest change that's in you, the biggest change you've seen in you then?
Focus, really.
Focus.
Focus on it. My one of my biggest problems was focusing on the past and going, oh my God, look at the person I used to be, look how much I used to be worth, blah, blah, bollocks, which is really what it is. you know, look towards the, sorry for anyone's language, but my language, but just look to the future and manifest that instead of, you know, thinking about what what you used to be, because it serves no purpose. So
Awesome. I love both of those. So I think that was everything, unless there's anything you want to add.
no, I mean, all I would say is, if you're watching this and if you're slightly skeptical about NLP, don't be, because that could be something that's holding you back. You know, just do what I did and just have the faith to reach out and make it happen for yourself, because you can. You know, we're doing things right now where, you know, I list the things that I wanted to achieve. It's like, yeah, okay, that'd be nice. Yeah, that'd be nice. That'd be good. Okay, that'd be nice in the future. And now it's a case of, that's on the list. Go and get it. Go and do it. And what's the plan? Oh, we're going to get it next week.
Yeah.
You know, that's the difference, making things happen.
And you're well on the way, John. You know, the sessions are great, but John will also make sure he applies some of the stuff he gets out of the handouts and stuff. And, you know, some people, that's why they need the one-on-one. I'm finding more and more, you know, people want that one-on-one attention rather than another training course or whatever. And that's why I never intended working with clients, but it just came to me. It's like, Paul, can you help me with this? People seeing the changes in my life, and then with some of the people that I've worked with, and then people are coming to me. So, right. So listen, around this video, there will probably be a link to my book. I wrote a book because I wanted to get this information in the hands of people. At the time of this video, it's a digital version. It's only $7. It's actually in the process of probably going on Amazon. So it might cost more if it's a proper book, but is a proper book, but as an ebook, I wanted to make it really affordable, $7. That's like your first step if you just like, sounds good, but I don't want to do anything else. 5-day transformation course is the next thing, right? Where I've been doing this now, 7 years. I've spent hours and hours and hours on training courses. I've spent thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars into this stuff, getting like rare, you know, some like even cassette tapes, you know, stuff like the Jedi manuscripts or whatever they're called. Was it the Jedi? Yeah. So I've got all of that, and I've distilled kind of the most important things into just 5 days. A lot of people, they teach this stuff and they go, here's this anchor technique and here's this swish pattern technique and here's and people that pay for those courses, they get it and they're like, oh, I don't know what that is. Oh, that's overwhelming. So what I've done is just 5 days, morning, afternoon session, right? First 2 days are all about removing blocks. Wednesday, we pivot to what you want. Thursday, I teach you how to install new behaviors and ways of doing things to get that. And then on the last day is like a toolkit. You might not need to use it all, but chances are, from your journey from where you are to where you want to be, stuff will come up. And it would be nice to be able to be confident anytime you wanted to be confident, or get rid of a negative feeling anytime. So I'll give you a toolkit to do those sort of things like focus, motivation, drive, and all that. So I'll give you a toolkit to do all those. So you got a book, you got a course. Problem with a book and a course, they're not interactive. They're not working on your unique thing. Somebody asked me the other day, well, would it be better if I went and learned on a course, right, to be an NLP practitioner? Problem with that, I was part of a group of 13, and when the instructor would demo a strategy, right, he picked me for one of them and I did it, and I had a profound change, like John had a profound change with some of the stuff I've done. The other 12 didn't. They saw me have a profound change. They never experienced it because there's only so many hours in a day, and he's got to teach the whole class and stuff. So I said to them, well, why are you doing it? Well, I want to achieve this and achieve that and achieve that. That's where one-on-one comes in. And one-on-one is obviously the most powerful. Yes, it is a bigger investment, but I guess I'll ask John, do you feel the investment is worth it?
Oh, undoubtedly. I mean, you can come back in 5 years and I'll say, I'll tell you what's happened. In fact, we'll do that. We'll agree on that now.
Yeah, we'll agree on that now.
5 years, and I'll show you my life. It's the thing is, you've only got one life, haven't you? And you can either live it in hope, thinking it would be nice one day if, but it's never going to happen, or just go and bloody make it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I did my NLP course, I did it. My wife actually insisted, because I'd been into NLP in books, right? And she actually insisted. I was going through a bad time, right? And we couldn't afford it. And my wife actually kind of insisted we made it happen. And this isn't an income claim. This isn't a guarantee. This isn't meant to be anything. All I can tell you is, Within 4 months of finishing the course, me and a business partner made $124,000 in 4 months. In an online business, I made over $500,000, right? And that isn't like NLP is definitely going to do that for you, because I don't predict future. And sometimes people might have a goal of doing that at the start, and that goal can change when they get clear on their values and what they want to do. But my investment that I couldn't afford at the time has paid off hundreds of times over. My tutor on the first day asked everybody what they wanted, and everybody else I was the only guy there, I guess. I don't know if that's part of it, but all the others were, well, I want to help my clients and I want to help my patients, and I'm here because I want, I want to do good in the world, and I'm a acupuncturist, and I want, blah blah. Well, I want to sort my business out because my business is failing, and so I was quite, for me, yeah. And he said, don't worry, you'll double your turnover. And he lied. It's paid off literally hundreds of times. So it was like tripled it in like within the year that my course was. Yeah. So not again, not an income claim, but isn't it funny, John, when you're focused and you know what you're doing and you've got a plan to do it, and when the hurdles come up, you can get over them because it's just how you think or feel.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, it just happens, and you look at circumstances when your mind's not in the right space, and it can be a problem. Whereas it can be an opportunity for, it's just, I know it sounds a bit cliche, but
yeah,
it's just the way it is. It's the way it is. Yeah.
Right. So thanks very much, John. I really appreciate your time.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
We'll call it a day there. And if you're interested in the options available, it starts as cheap as $7. I can't really make it a lot. Well, I suppose I could give it away, but that $7 just helps pay for hosting and stuff like that. So you got a book, you got a course. If you're really serious about making changes like John, reach out to me. First session is always a taster session to see if I can help you and if you want me to help you. So thanks again, John.
You're welcome. Thanks, Paul.
Let's get back to work, I know.